I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. No, no. I thought we'd start the new year with a Q&A. So I asked you guys on Instagram, Facebook, and on here to ask me questions, and these are your questions. Now guys, before we get stuck into today's video, I wanted to quickly let you guys know that I've kind of reorganized the recipes page on my website. A lot of you have been asking, where are your frosting recipes? Where are your cake recipes? So I've put all of my basics recipes at the top, so they're much easier to find now. If you want to grab any of my recipes, they're on my website for you guys. So head on over to thescranline.com. And again, if you're not following me on Facebook and Instagram, make sure you follow me on there. It's at the Scran Line. Now, these questions there are a lot of questions, guys. So I chose probably like 15 from each: YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Let's start off with you guys, YouTube. Daisy Amelia asks, if you weren't a baker, what non-food related job would you have? Well, some of you guys might not know, and some of you might already know that I used to be a graphic designer, and I would probably still be a graphic designer if I wasn't doing this specific job. But I have to say, the reason I'm doing this job is because I couldn't sit at a desk all day. It drove me insane, guys. So I did that for 9 months in a design studio, and that was enough for me. But I do kind of still do a little bit of graphic design here and there for the Scran Line. Well, actually, everything you see on the Scran Line is done by me. Nelly Calderon asks, hey, love your videos. One question I have is, are you married? Also, do you have kids? No to both. I'm not going to pronounce this right. Bathabil Malangu. Nick, I just wanted to say thank you for putting all your time and effort into your videos, and you are my role model. I know you hear this a lot, but I am your biggest fan and I love everything you do. You are truly an amazing person and I aspire to be like you one day. Thanks again, Nick, for everything. That is so lovely. Now, that wasn't a question, but I left that in there because I wanted to let you guys know that I absolutely love hearing from you guys. So the best way to contact me is on Instagram. Send me a message on Instagram. You can email me through my website. If you want to ask a question, if you want to share a recipe idea, let me know. Contact me, guys. I love hearing from you. Baking with Michaela asks, why don't you cream butter and sugar together in cakes? So I don't cream my butter and sugar together. Most recipes do cream butter and sugar together. It's called the creaming method. I use the reverse creaming method. So the reverse creaming method is when you put your butter in with all of your dry ingredients. Now, there's a couple reasons why I do this. It's because I think that creaming your butter and sugar together, and you guys might disagree with this, results in a bit of a dry cake. It comes out fluffier, but I think it comes out a little bit drier, and I like my cakes to be a little bit on the denser, more moist side. So the method that I use, the reverse creaming method, that's the results that you get. So that's what you get with my cakes. I'm not going to pronounce this right. Fina Chirakanakul. Okay, so she's got 3 questions. When did you become a YouTuber? Why do you like cupcakes? How did you come up with your YouTube name? Okay, I became a YouTuber about 5 or 6 years ago. Why do you like cupcakes? I love cupcakes because I worked at a cupcake bakery for 2 years, and that's kind of where I found my love for cupcakes. Before that, I loved cupcakes. I wasn't very good at making them. Here's a photo of my first cupcakes. It's pretty terrible. But that's kind of why I love cupcakes. Now, I came up with the name, the Scran Line, because for a very brief time, I was in the Australian Navy. It was 7 weeks. And then I kind of realized it was a complete disaster for me. But when you're in the Navy, they have like their own words for different things. So the big hall where you eat is called the mess hall. And the word for food is called scran. So when we would line up to get our food, we would line up in the Scran Line. Bianca asks, how did you learn ingredient ratios for your recipes? Is it just trial and error? Yes, it is. So this is how I learned. Well, I learned a lot when I was baking in the cupcake bakery, and I had a mentor. Her name is Maggie. She's now one of my best friends. And she taught me a lot about baking. Even now, if I have like a mini disaster in the kitchen, I'm straight on the phone to Maggie. Maggie, this is what happened. I don't know what to do. Maggie's like, here's what you can try. I try it, and pretty much 99% of the time she's right. So for me, the way I came up with my recipes is that I kind of just chose a couple recipes and tried them out. So I kind of had a bit of a feel after doing that of what I liked and what worked for me, because everyone has their own preference when it comes to cupcakes. You know, some people like the moist, dense cupcakes. Some people like the fluffier cupcakes, a little bit dry. But I think that it's really important to do that, especially if you're opening up a bakery or if you're running a business, because if you, for example, and I get a lot of people asking me, can I use your recipes for my business? And my answer is always no. And this is why I say no, because if you kind of do what I did and what a lot of other people do, where they kind of come up with their own recipes by kind of trying and testing out other recipes, you kind of get a feel for what you like and also how to adapt recipes. Now, another reason why it's important to do this is because if you're using my recipes and the person next to you is using my recipes, you guys are both offering the same product to your customers. And you want to have like a bit of an edge on your customers. It got a little bit dark, by the way. The sun's coming in and out. So that's why I feel it's really important to come up with your own recipes. It's not very difficult. It's actually a lot of fun. Ikram sorry, I'm so sorry. I want to bite into your nose and run away with that pink icing that you have in your hand. I think you're referring to this photo. Okay, I'm not going to say anything about this photo, but this is not how I eat frosting. I eat frosting with my finger, just because you need to know. I do, by the way, still eat my cupcakes, for those of you asking. And no, I don't eat them all. Ashley H asks, do you ever feel like you're losing anything with baking your cupcakes low and slow? For example, airiness or taste? Not sure, but I thought the big hump would make it fluffier somehow. It does make it a little bit fluffier, but again, I bake my cupcakes on a lower temperature than most other recipes, and I bake them for a little bit longer than most other recipes because, a couple of reasons. It gets that nice flat top on the top, and I think that your cupcakes look neater if they have a flat top. You can hide the kind of what I call the volcano rise with frosting, but then when you cut into it and bite into it, you can tell that it rose that way. I also think that, I know that if you bake them on a lower temperature, a little bit slower, meaning a little bit longer, if you have colored cupcakes, they come out without kind of tinges of brown, and they don't caramelize, so you keep that nice bright color. Gina Nguyen asks, when did you realize you had a passion for baking? I realized I had a passion for baking about 23. I just started getting in the kitchen and baking stuff and eating it and loving it and having so much fun, and I also find it really therapeutic. Katie Carlos asks, how did your family react to you coming out? Most of my family, all of my family were fine with it, but there's one family member who is still struggling with it a little bit, but we're not going to get into that today, but mostly it's been great. I haven't lost any friends or family. Fatma Ismail asks, hi Nick, just curious, why do you add plain yogurt to your cake batter? Does it help give the cake a softened texture and keep it moist? Yes, that's what it does. So adding yogurt in my cupcake recipes, and it's in my vanilla recipe, but not my chocolate, because they're both completely different recipes. The chocolate recipe has more butter in it than the vanilla, so that's what keeps it moist. The vanilla recipe has yogurt in it because it helps keep the cupcake moist. Also, you can't taste it, for those of you wondering, so don't worry about that. Anna Carolina asks, she's got 3 questions. How is your common day? How does it go by? How did you find out you wanted to become a baker? How are you so adorable? Teach us, please. Okay, bye. Okay, let's answer the first 2 questions. So in my day, a typical day for me is that I film next to a large window that's behind you guys. And let me just pause you for 1 second. I'm going to turn the brightness up a little bit because it got a little bit dark. Okay, so I film next to a big window which is behind you guys. And I use natural light to film all of my recipes. I don't use any other lighting. And I use natural light to photograph as well. So I film when there's daylight. If there's daylight in the house, that's me in the kitchen filming. And then at about 5 o'clock, I go upstairs and I edit my videos till about 10 or 10:30, and then the day starts again the next day. So I take my breaks in between, and that's kind of a typical day for me. I have my weekends off because I work for myself. So I work 5 days and then I just film and edit during the week. Now, I found out I wanted to become a baker because I just started baking in the kitchen and having lots of fun doing it. And so that's kind of how I discovered I wanted to be a baker. Okay, so those are our YouTube questions. Let's get stuck into our Instagram questions. Lily Luz asks, why are you so inconsistent in your YouTube posting? So I probably should have started with this question. I have been working on something, guys. It is so freaking exciting. I don't know if I've told you guys this, but it's going to be announced on the 19th of January, which is really, really soon. And I'm working on something really exciting to help me announce it. And I saw a preview of it the other day, and I can't tell you guys how excited I am. There's something super duper exciting coming on January 19th. I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. No. Okay. All right. Haley Hole, what is your favorite dessert you've ever made? I have a couple favorite, but oh my God. So I went to my boyfriend's parents' house and his sister made the most incredible tiramisu. And that was the second time I've had proper Italian tiramisu, but my mum also makes really, really delicious tiramisu. She makes a really good cream caramel. And the favorite thing that I make is my red velvet cream cheese cupcakes. So if you want the recipe for that, it's on my website. But I also have my mom's tiramisu recipe on my website as well. Amanda Sass, the real question is, how do you control your sugar levels? So while I've been taking a break on YouTube and not posting very consistently, and I'm so sorry about that, guys, but I've been working on my health and my fitness and just kind of my mental health as well. There was a bit of a period there when I wasn't doing so well on social media, as in I just wasn't enjoying it. And I love the support that you guys have given me. It's been really, really helpful. But in the time that I've been taking a break, I've been doing CrossFit and I've been eating a lot healthier. I've been eating a lot less sugar, which means a lot less tasting, but a little bit of tasting still. So I just exercise and eat healthy. That's how I control my sugar levels. I think it's Kelly127. What do you do with all the desserts you make? I think this is what you guys ask the most. You guys are like obsessed with wanting to know what happens with everything that I make. Okay, here it is, guys. This is what I do with everything I make. I give it away to family and friends. Sometimes to my mum, sometimes to other family members, sometimes to my next door neighbors, sometimes to my other neighbors. So it goes to people who eat it. I don't eat everything. I taste some of the things that I make, but not everything. Most of the time I can tell how something is going to taste by smelling it, because I've been baking every day for 5 years. So it just goes to family and friends. And no, you can't order what I make, and no, you can't taste what I make unless you make it yourself. Yara Liesman 4660. I think I'm late, but what inspires you to create such unique flavors and designs? You look amazing. Thank you very much. So I get inspired by lots and lots of different things. So I get inspired by music. I get inspired a lot by music. And lately I've been loving Ariana Grande. Also, I get inspired by colors, sounds, things I see on TV, movies, architecture, design, just maybe like a conversation that I have. I was listening to a song the other day and it was by Casey Musgraves and it's called Red Velvet Elvis. And so I put that on my list of things to do. and I've got an awesome idea for it, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. So I get inspired by lots of different things. Payne's Beween, hi, I made your vanilla cake for a 6-layer cake with Swiss meringue buttercream frosting, which tastes delicious, by the way, thank you very much. But when I took it out of the fridge to take it to the party, the frosting cracked near the base. Any ideas in how to prevent it or what could have gone wrong? Many thanks. Yes, I know what could have gone wrong. It's because the base that you put the cake on was not thick enough. It needs to be thick, if it bends and it's thin and it bends, it means that the bottom of your cake bends, and that means that your frosting will crack. So use a thicker base for your cake base. Midblees124, are you dating someone? I know you're gay and it would make me happy if you had a boyfriend. Yes, I'm dating someone, but he doesn't want to be on camera. I think that's fine. And I kind of want to keep that side of things private. On@Yasmin, where can I order these cakes? So you can't order my cakes. You have to make them yourself. Bat Yellow Ducky, what brand of coloring do you use? They're so vibrant. Thank you very much. So I use 2 different brands, Americolor and Cakecraft. So if you can't find Americolor, and in Australia they've kind of stopped selling it, even though I contacted them and they say they still sell it here, I can't really find it anywhere. So I use Cakecraft and it's pretty much the same thing. Sheik of Dubai, which software do you use for editing? I use Final Cut Pro to edit my videos and Photoshop to edit my photos. If you want to learn more about the tools and equipment I use, head over to my website. I've got a tools and equipment section and you can learn more about what I use over there. The McLaren Group, do you ever feel like experimenting with your desserts but afraid that your followers won't like it? No, I really don't, to be honest, because my philosophy is that you guys are following me because I'm doing something different to the person next to me or the other people that you're following, and they're doing something different to me as well. So you follow all these different people for different reasons. And so if I started bowing down to everything that everyone who's followed me wanted, instead of focusing on the things that I love doing and inspire me, then it would be kind of a little bit boring. Gad about gourmet. Oh my God, I never realized you're in Australia. Me too, mind blown. Which city? I am based in Melbourne, but I think someone asked whereabouts in Melbourne are you based, and I can't tell you guys because I don't want people showing up at my door. Avery Ulrich, how do I get macarons to actually stay their shape and not just run together into a big mess that doesn't even bake correctly? Okay guys, I feel your pain when it comes to macarons because I've been through it all. In fact, when I moved into this new place, I had a new kitchen, a new oven. This oven works a lot differently than the oven I had before. So I discovered that the fan in this oven was causing a lot of problems for my macarons and they were baking lopsided. So I now bake with the fan off in this oven because you can do that with the settings. And I think most ovens allow you to have that setting as well. It's called convention setting. So if your macarons are kind of spreading into each other when you're piping them and baking them, it's probably because you overmix. So in my recipes, the ones where I used to talk, I explain the kind of consistency you want to look for. It's called the ribbon stage. That's when you want to stop mixing. So head on and watch my macaron videos on how to get to that stage so that your macarons pipe perfectly. Avab 2024, what are your top 3 tips on baking? Also, how do you get everything so fluffy? By the way, I love this account so much and everything you post. Stay amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, so what are my top 3 tips on baking? Okay, make sure you have everything measured out before you start baking. Some recipes happen really, really quickly. So you want to make sure everything is measured out. So when you're doing each stage of the recipe, it works out perfectly. Second thing, measure using grams. I know that you guys in America love your cup measurements. I have all of my recipes in grams, except I now am offering them in cups. But I still think that gram measurements are much better. The rest of the world uses them, and the reason why they're so much better is because they're a lot more accurate. And when it comes to baking, you want to be very accurate with your measuring, especially macarons. My third tip is that you want to make sure that you love what you're doing, because people can tell when they pick up a cake slice or when they eat whatever you make that you baked or made that thing with love. They can see it in the detail, they can taste it. So make sure that even if you're in your kitchen, your home kitchen, or you're working as a chef, that you love what you're doing. Otherwise, you're gonna have a miserable time. Sarah Walid Ahmed, please create a book, a cookbook. Ooh, girl. Okay, last question from Instagram, Maya John 1. How long does it take you to make a video? Okay, it depends on what I'm making. I make videos for Tastemade and for myself. A Tastemade video takes about 2 days to film and about half a day to edit. A Scran Line video kind of varies. So if it's a cake or macarons, it can take about 3 days to film and edit. And if it's a cupcake, about the same. Sometimes cakes take a little bit longer. Okay guys, that was it for Instagram. Let's move on to your Facebook questions. Leah Blythe, would you make a savory cupcake? I have made a savory cupcake, Leah. It was a hot dog cupcake and you guys hated it. So if you have any ideas on any savory cupcakes you want to see me make, leave a comment down below. Let me know. I might make another one because I made it a very long time ago. So maybe you guys want to see it now. Maria Khan, when will you create some more vegan goodies? I have lots of vegan goodies on my website. I have ideas for more vegan stuff. If you have any ideas that you want to share with me, that you want to see me make on the Scran Line again, leave a comment down below and I'll add it to my list. Brooke Antoinoli asks, what was the longest time it took to make a cake? It once took me about 5 days to make a cake. I can't remember which one it was, but it was this cake. I can't remember what it was. I have a feeling it was the hashtag lemonade cake, which was inspired by Beyonce. And it just took so long to make. And I kind of lost steam towards the end and I just kind of was over it. But I finished it, thank God, but it took me about 5 days just to film. Now that doesn't mean that it's gonna take you guys 5 days to make. It just means that it takes a little bit longer to film these videos than what it actually will for you guys to make them in your kitchen. Leah Blythe, did you enjoy your trip to Ireland, Nick? I think I announced about a year or 2 years ago that I was gonna go to Ireland, and I didn't make it. I didn't go on that trip that I had planned. I just kind of had a whole bunch of other things happening, and this project that I was working on got in the way of things and took over, and so I didn't end up going. But I would still love to go. Ajraja Debnath, why baking? Why not other forms of cooking? What about baking excites you so much? I think that I do love baking. I do like making other things, but I think for me, baking is like super therapeutic and I just enjoy it a lot. Kira Tingay asks, what are your must-have baking item and utensils? I love baking and I'm keen to step it up and bake more with aesthetics in mind. Okay, so I have like about 100 different piping tips, and I'd say you guys definitely don't need to have 100 piping tips. But I'd say my top 3 are my Wilton 6B, my Wilton 1M, and a medium size or a large round tip. I think those are the 3 piping tips you guys should have if you want to start experimenting with frosting. I love my stand mixer. Her name is Peggy. I'm looking at my tools down there. I love my spatulas, guys. I know that's a really boring one, but I can't live without my spatulas. I love them. Karen Ryberg asks, where is your favorite place in the world apart from Australia? Where would you live even for a while if you could? I do love Australia and I live in Melbourne, and I'm biased, but I think Melbourne is the best city in the world. But I've been to New York and I love New York. I don't know if I would live there because it's super expensive, but I loved London and I feel like I would live in London even though it's just as expensive, but I had so much fun when I went there. Sophie Vanstone asks, why do my cupcakes shrink from the wrapper? Okay, this can happen for a couple different reasons. So when I used to work in the bakery I worked at, during the summer especially, as the cupcakes were cooling, they would sweat and that would cause the paper to come away from the cupcake. So you want to make sure that if it's a hot day, make sure you take your cupcakes out of the cupcake tin straight away, put them on a cooling rack to cool down. The second reason it can happen is because of the cupcake liners you use. They might not be great quality cupcake liners. And sometimes that just happens with really bad quality cupcake liners. They just come away from the cupcake. Now, the most common reason why it can happen is because you overmix your batter. So if you overmix your batter, what happens is the cupcakes bake, and as they cool, they shrink. So when they shrink, they come away from the paper. So you want to make sure that you don't overmix your batter. Okay, our last question for the Q&A is from Abriti Menon. Was turning into a pastry chef a much thought about transition from being a graphic designer? And are all your inspiration from your mind-blowing pastry creations an extension of you being a graphic designer too? Love from India. It was kind of a natural thing. It wasn't something that I really thought about doing. So I used to be a graphic designer. I also studied commercial cookery for a year, and then I worked in a bakery for 2 years. So I kind of now combine those two passions on the Scran Line and I use them together. So I use my design skills and my baking skills and I make these cupcakes, cakes, macarons. So it kind of was a natural thing that just happened. And yeah, it wasn't something that I was aiming for necessarily. Guys, that is it for our Q&A. Thank you to everyone who sent in a question. And if I didn't answer your question, leave it down in the comments down below and I'll try and answer it for you guys. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you got right to the end of the video, I want you guys to leave a little bee emoji in the comments down below so that I know you got to the end of the video. And I love it when you guys leave those emojis in the comments and then everyone else who didn't make it to the end of the video is confused about why there's bee emojis. It gives me a giggle. Okay, so if you're not following me on Facebook and Instagram, make sure you follow me there. I can't wait for you guys to see what I've been working on. I'm so excited. I really can't wait. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you all on the next episode of the Scran Line. Ooh, girl.